What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of Love Without Borders, Season 1, Episode 4. We're looking at rings. So let's start off with Dana and Brian in Ireland. They are walking through the town and they're looking at rings, but it's nothing serious. It's not like they're looking for engagement rings or whatever. It's just, them casually doing some window shopping, and they have this really romantic moment where they get inside of this lighted ball. It looked like I don't know. It was just like this huge ball that you can walk inside of and had lights all around it. And they walk inside of it, and she was sitting on his lap, and they had this really cute moment where they were kissing and staring deeply into each other's eyes. And it was a very sweet moment. So Dana and Brian are off to a very, very, very good start. I'm just waiting for that other shoe to fall. I hope that it doesn't. I hope things stay like this with Dana and Brian, because I want at least one couple to make it to the end, whatever that end is on this show. So far everything is so good with Dana and Brian. Now the next time that we see them, they are driving through the town, and we're seeing all this beautiful scenery of this particular town. We're seeing the green pastures and the sheep, and just really peaceful and calm, and just, I don't know. So they go and they sit on a cliff overlooking, I think it was overlooking the water. They sit on this cliff and they're basically talking about their future, and they seem to really want to be with one another. They talk about the possibility of them having a future together, and I don't think either one of them is really rushing into getting married or getting engaged right now, but they are really feeling each other. They're really vibing. That scene of them sitting on this cliff and them having this very deep conversation, it just showed that these people are on the same page. I don't know what the future holds for them, but for now, they are definitely on the same page. They have the attraction. They have the compatibility. They basically they want to be together another day, at least. At the very least, they want to be together one more day. And I don't know if we can say the same for every couple on this show, but Dana and Brian are doing extremely well. Let's move on to Gurleen and Shreyas in Dubai. So the more and more that I see Gurleen, the more and more I don't like her, or the more and more I dislike her. She's just very... it's just too much. It is just way too much. You have to have a little bit of humility, and kind of take it down a couple of notches when you're in someone else's home, you're in someone else's country. The way that they do things in Dubai, it appears to be drastically different than the way things are done here in the United States. And you should show a little bit of respect to that culture, and not just want to bulldoze everything over with how you want things to be and how you want things done. But anyways, so it's the day after the party. They're sitting in the apartment, Shreyas' family apartment, and they're having a conversation. Shreyas. They're having a conversation with Shreyas' sister about the party. And the sister's like, well, did you have a good time? Blah, 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 blah. And Gurleen says, yes, had a wonderful time. Everybody was really nice. And then Shreyas brings up what happened at the end of the party when Gurleen wanted to clean up. And everybody was telling her, don't clean up. You don't have to clean up, because we have servants that take care of all of that. So you don't have to do that. And Gurleen didn't remember. She didn't remember because she was drunk out of her mind. She did not remember. So she's like a mean drunk. When she gets drunk, she gets really annoying and aggravating and combative. So she doesn't remember what happened. Moving on from there. So they go apartment hunting, and they find a place. It's a 2-bedroom apartment with a month-to-month lease, fully furnished. Shreyas has never lived with a woman before, so he's extremely nervous about living with Gurleen. They finally move in at the apartment, and on the TV, I guess like in the hotels, the TV will have some type of a greeting for the guest, and I guess in this case for the occupant, and it'll say, hello, Shreyas, welcome to blah, 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 whatever message that's on the screen. So Gurleen makes a point to say that the greeting on the TV does not have her name as well. It only has Shreyas' name. And she wants to know, why doesn't it have her name? And I'm like, girl, the way you pick your battles is just odd. It's just odd to me. Is that really important? Maybe they could only choose one name, and because it's Dubai, they automatically chose the man's name, or maybe because I don't know. It, girl. Anyways, so she made a point about that, and he says, "Well, don't worry, I'll call and I'll have them fix it." Then, as soon as they arrived, it was like about 7 o'clock in the evening, I think 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, when they finally are settled into the apartment. And she's like, "Okay, I'm going to bed." And Sharayas was like, "Okay, I really wasn't expecting that. I guess he's wanted them." She made such a big deal about, "I don't want to live with your family. I want to have my own space." She gets her own space, and she doesn't even want to like really share it with him on their very first night there. This is something new for him. He hasn't done this before. Living with a woman or living with a girlfriend. He has not done this before. You would have thought that they would have spent at least an hour or two together after they first moved into their new place, to kind of like get settled in together, check in on each other, look around the house. I mean, just something together. But she was like, "Okay, good night," after they were done unpacking. I don't know. The next day they go camel riding. Finally, some positivity. When they get there, well, it didn't start off with positivity, but it ended on a positive note. They get there to the camel riding place, and the guide has scarves, right? There's a box of scarves for them to utilize when they're riding the camel, because I guess of all the sand, they're going to be riding the camel out there in the desert. So she was going to pick a scarf or something, and the guy was like, "No, no, no, you don't pick from that. You have to pick from this pile." And so she asked why. And they said, "Well, that's for the men and this is for the women." And then she was like, "Well, can you explain why it's like that?" And he explained that it would be very disrespectful to the, I think you call native, the natives there, you call them Emiratis, the people that live in Dubai, and they're called Emiratis because it's the United Arab Emirates. So he says, "Well, it's very disrespectful to the Emirati. So you're going to wear the women's scarves and he's going to wear the men's scarves." And so she's like, "Okay, that makes sense." But then under her breath, she says, "It actually really doesn't." Girl, shut up. It doesn't matter if it makes sense to you or not. And I was kind of worried that she was going to get into some type of a argument with this guy about these scarves and the fact that only, men wear these and the women wear those. I think it was separated by color. Like the men could only wear the red and the women had to wear anything but red or something like that. And I was worried that she was going to get into some kind of like, gender type of argument with him, gender role argument with him. But luckily she let it go. She didn't say anything, and I was really grateful for that. So they get on the damn camels. They go camel riding. It's very peaceful. It's very enjoyable. Everything is fine. After the camel ride, they sit down like on the desert, in the middle of the desert, and they watch the sunset together. And it was so, so beautiful and so serene. The two of them sitting in the sand, watching the sun coming down, and they're having very deep philosophical conversations. And it was just so nice and peaceful. And they had a good conversation, and Gerline definitely enjoyed herself. And I was so glad that she was having a good time for once, because it seems like Gerline has been very stressed out ever since she arrived in Dubai. And she finally had a moment with Sharayas that was a good, positive moment. But I don't see chemistry between them. I don't think this is going to be a romantic connection, because they're just not clicking. They're not clicking at all. Gerline is very much Gerline, and she's not going to change, and she's not going to soften up for anybody. She is going to be the headstrong, independent American woman that she is. And she's going to challenge the system in Dubai. Okay, she's going to challenge the system in Dubai. And Sharayas seems like the kind of person, he's more mellow, go with the flow kind of thing. And he's trying to accommodate her, and he's trying to be very respectful of her without making her feel like, she has to change who she is. I just don't see a connection with them. I don't think it's going to work out. So my prediction is like, this is going to be a complete fail. Moving on to Naeem. Now, Naeem was our newest member from Houston, Texas. He's the social worker. He's just arrived in Panama, and he is on the hunt for flowers for his lady love, and he is going to find him some damn flowers. His Spanish was better than I thought. but it's still very broken, which is fine because he's not a native Spanish speaker. So he's going around asking everybody that he comes across, where can I get some damn flowers? Where are the flowers? I want to buy some flowers. He finally finds a shop that sells flowers and he's really, really happy. So he arrives at her house, and as he's waiting for her to open the door, he is praying to the heavens above that she is cute. He keeps on saying, I hope she's cute. I hope she's cute. I hope she's cute. I know that we have to have an attraction for the people that we're going to, possibly spend the rest of our lives with, and that we want to have a romantic connection with. But are you going to be cute to her? Did you consider that? If she's going to think that you're cute? And if she's not cute, what then? You're going to go turn around and go home? You're not going to give it a chance? You're not going to try to get to know her? Why does everything have to hinge on whether or not she's cute? So finally, Chandra, her name is Chandra, she opens up the door and he looks at her and he sees her, and thank God he is satisfied with what he sees. He's okay with Chandra. He thinks that she is drop dead gorgeous, beautiful, all of that. Chandra is 35 years old and she is a customer service assistant. She lives by herself. She's fiercely independent as well. So he constantly complimenting her. You're so beautiful. Oh my God, you're gorgeous. So on and so forth. And she wears glasses. And he says that he kind of sees her as this very cute librarian. So she takes him on a tour of the house. He's going to have his own room and she'll have her own room. And she lives alone, like I said before, and he sees a Bible in the corner. And when he sees the Bible, he's extremely happy because he knows his mother is going to like that, the fact that she is a God-fearing woman. And then he asks her, do you read the Bible? And she says, yeah, I read it sometimes. So he's very happy about the fact that she is a woman of faith, it seems like. So at some point they're conversating and she actually forgets his name. She can't think of his name. I thought that was really funny. So she tells him that she had a really rough experience with her previous relationship. And so right now she's extremely guarded. And she tells him that the first red flag that I see, I'm out. Just want to let you know. She makes dinner and they have dinner on the upper balcony. They sit outside on the upper balcony looking down upon the city or the town. And they actually sit on the floor while they're having dinner. They sit on the ground while they're having dinner. And so they're having dinner. They're talking about their past, so on and so forth. They're getting to know each other. So far, day one with Naeem and Chandra has gone very well. She also mentioned that she is attracted to him. She sees him as a very attractive man. So at least that part is out of the way. They like how each other look. They're attracted to each other. Let's move on. Phil and Carmen. Phil and Carmen in Ghana. So they go skating. And that was nice to see them spending that time together. Carmen says that she feels like that they're getting closer and that there is definitely chemistry between them, but Phil has not made a move on her, and she assumes it's because of the fact that he's celibate. They have a conversation, and he talks about how his mother had taken a trip to Ghana when he was younger, and his mother was assisting Rita Marley, which is the ex-wife of Bob Marley. His mother was actually in Ghana assisting Rita Marley, I think, provide necessary supplies to schools or to open up schools or something to do with school children. And so Carmen was surprised that Rita Marley was his godmother, and she had no idea. And so she says that the fact that he told me Rita Marley was his godmother makes me want to know more about him. So later on, they have a conversation, and Carmen brings up how Phil would not allow her to see his Instagram account. So they show us a flashback of them having this sort of like tense discussion about his Instagram. She wanted to see his Instagram and he refused to show her the Instagram. So now they're having a conversation about that. And she says, remember when I wanted to see your Instagram, but you wouldn't want to show it to me? And then he tells her, well, I wasn't trying to like hide it from you intentionally. And so his explanation of why he didn't want her to see his Instagram was because he said that, number one, he doesn't want her to know his full name, his real name. He doesn't want her to know who his family is because, he's related to Philip Michael Thomas, I think his name is Philip Michael Thomas, the actor from Miami Vice. He doesn't want her to know who his family is or who his father is because, he wants her to like him for him and not because he's related to a famous television star, so on and so forth. So she says to him, well, even though you didn't want me to see your Instagram, I looked it up and I found it anyway. And he was like, okay, I don't have a problem with that. It's just me being goofy, talking about music. Sometimes I have pictures without my shirt on. It's just me being really silly. And she goes, well, what I saw, I really didn't like. And I thought it was like a real turn off for me. And he was like, what did you see that you didn't like? And she says to him, well, you're thirst trapping. Like practically every picture, you have like over 1,000 pictures and they're basically like all thirst traps. And he's like, what? And she's like, yes, it's you thirst trapping. You're there without your shirt on. You're showing your print. Yeah, that's just not what I'm into. And she says in her confessional that the reason why she doesn't like guys who post pictures like that is because it seems like they only have one thing in mind, that they only see females as, people to just serve them for one purpose and one purpose only. And she also says that it was confusing for her because he says he's celibate, but he has all of these thirst trap videos on his Instagram. And so he says, so what's the difference between that and your pictures of yourself on your Instagram account where you're wearing bikinis in a whole bunch of photos? And she goes, well, that's beach attire. That's just me, what I would wear to the beach. And he's like, well, that's just me, what I would wear to the beach or whatever. And so he's like, you're being really hypocritical. Now, I kind of see what he's talking about. He's like, okay, I'm showing off my body. You're showing off your body. What's the difference? I don't know what's all on his Instagram, but what they showed us on the show, okay, they showed us this one particular video where he was clearly showing off his print, okay, showing us what he was working with. Clearly see exactly what he was working with through his shorts, right? And the difference between that and what she shows on her Instagram, she's just wearing a bikini, modeling. I think these are her own designs or other people's designs. She's just, modeling these different bikinis. He is directing your attention to a particular part of his body. Okay. He is thrusting around so that you can see a particular part of his body. That's the difference. So the two are not the same. And how dare he try to call her out for being a hypocrite when she was making a very valid point and she was not being hypocritical. So the conversation goes completely left because as she's explaining herself, he's also trying to explain himself. And she keeps telling him, I'm not finished. I'm not finished. I'm not finished. And he gets frustrated with her and he tells her, well, you never stop talking. So what am I ever going to be able to say what I have to say because you never stop talking? So she gets upset. She gets up and she walks away. And that was the end of that. And I was like, oh no, this is like a typical relationship. This is like a typical relationship for 20-year-olds because, I mean, they like each other. They're attracted to one another, but their communication skills are trash. And both of them think that they're right. And they want the other one to see that they're right. Typical 20-something-year-old relationship. Moving on to Aaron and Mael, who are in Paris. So Aaron is doing like a little video of himself and he's talking into the camera and he's saying that he's going through it. He's definitely going through it in Paris, France. He has a lot of anxiety. He has a lot of worry. He feels uncomfortable in this really tiny apartment. He doesn't know the language. That's like feeding into his anxiety. And he's away from anything that's familiar to him. He's in a different city, different environment. Everything is so different. And it's just so overwhelming. And I guess to sum it all up, Aaron is just feeling very homesick. He's just extremely homesick. But I know one thing's for sure and two things for certain. Okay, if I was in Paris, France, baby, I would not be thinking about home. I would not be thinking about home. I would be taking full advantage of being in Paris, France, because what other time will I have this opportunity to live in Paris, France for 3 months? On what planet and with whose money would I ever have the opportunity to live in Paris, France for 3 months? He's up there complaining and whining about, I don't know what. Honey, you are in Paris, France. You're coming from South Dakota, North Dakota. You're in Paris, France. Anywho, so him and Mael are taking a walk, and Aaron explains to he asks Mael, so did you notice that last night I was really, really quiet? And Mael says, yeah, it was kind of obvious. And so Aaron says, I was kind of struggling, because I'm in a new country and blah, blah, blah. Just basically everything that he said before. Everything is new. Everything is different. I'm trying to adjust. It's a little bit overwhelming for me. And that's basically what was bothering me, but I'm a little bit better now. And so they both talk about how they were both extremely nervous in the beginning when they first met. They both had a lot of nerves. And so I guess as they discussed it, they were, making each other feel better, understanding each other better. And I was like, yay for communication. Yay for communication. I love it. Instead of just being down in the dumps and distancing yourself or pretending like nothing's wrong, they communicated. He says, this is what was wrong with me. I'm going to tell you what was wrong with me. And then Mael is going to respond with, I am receiving that. And I'm going to tell you what I was struggling with. I love it. I love it. Later on, they go out to eat. So Mael talks about how food is extremely important in France. It's a big part of their culture. And so he wants to introduce Aaron to traditional French cuisine. And one of the things that he has him try out is escargot, which is snails. And so he tries it. And it's a go. He likes the escargot. Then he has them try I don't know how to pronounce it, foie gras or something like that, duck liver. He wasn't a big fan of the duck liver. So then Aaron talks about, so they both talk to each other. They both tell each other about their coming out stories, how they came out to their parents and how, their parents were not that accepting of them being gay in the beginning, and, had the adjustments and all the stuff that went down when they first came out to their parents. And Mael says that when he came out to his dad was like, well, can you try not to be gay? And Mael told his dad, no, that's going to be kind of difficult because it's kind of like etched in my DNA. So yeah, that's not going to work. And so that also ended on a really good note. I'm just extremely disappointed in Phil and Carmen. I don't like it when just because there's no understanding, we have to argue. I think that we need to talk to come to an understanding, not talk to prove that we're right and that you're wrong. I don't like those kind of conversations. If she said, well, I saw your pictures and it's like you're thirst trapping, he can ask her, why do you think that? And she can explain, why she thinks that. And I think he should have just admitted to it and says, yeah, I'm thirst trapping. I'm looking for attention. And just say that, because look, if you're out there in your whatever, gray sweats or blue sweats, and you're shaking and baking certain parts of your anatomy, why is that not thirst trapping? Like, why can't you just admit that, yeah, some of the pictures I'm thirst trapping. Yeah, I do that. I do that for likes, clicks, and views. Yes, I was doing that. And then she can say, well, that just doesn't really vibe with me. I guess he was worried about losing her. Maybe because he really does like her. And because she showed disappointment in him, he just, panicked. And instead of just trying to figure out, okay, let's see how we can fix this, he automatically goes into defensive mode. And he's like, well, you do it too. And I'm like, that's just not the response. That's not a very mature response. Let her express herself. And then you can say, well, you know what? I'm feeling like, you're disapproving of that and you're judging me for that. And you're going to probably base on how this relationship continues on some Instagram pics. And I think that I'm more than that. Yes, I was going through a very shallow moment in my life where I was very into how many likes I got and how many views I got. But I've evolved from that. I'm not that way no more. And I have no problem deleting all of that. I don't know. Or set it on private, at least. I don't know. But that conversation could have gone so much better. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, do not forget to rate the video. And if you like this content, go ahead and subscribe. And I will definitely talk to you later. Bye.